Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I wasn't actually planning on making this video, and I've kind of got to be quiet because it's pretty late. Anyway, so this kind of came about today. So there was this thing uploaded by Pocket Powell or something like that. Pocket something, a new game. It's called Palworld. So I wanted to take you through this PowerPoint presentation that I've got right here. We're gonna go through what the fuck is Palworld. Let's just go straight into it. Let's just see what we're getting into first. So let's just watch this then. A pocket pear, that's who it is. Okay, so off to a very strange start, but a familiar start. Okay, so it's alright, I suppose, yeah. Okay, so this is weird. Alright. But, I mean, that's pretty chill. It's nice and relaxing, alright, okay. That's interesting. I'm gonna talk about that. And this is mental. What? That's sick. No. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. That is Bowser. She's fit. And that is it. Okay, that was the Palworld trailer. So, let's just talk about what the hell we just watched. So, first of all, it's a Pokemon ripoff. You could tell that. It's familiar animals, and they're not actually what we actually know, just like Pokemon. And it's open world, unlike any other Pokemon game we've seen. I'd say it looks better than Pokemon Legends Arceus. It has survival mechanics, which is amazing. We've seen a lot of Pokemon clones do that, but obviously a lot of those Pokemon clones aren't actually out yet. And it's probably fan-made. I mean, I don't know anything about Pocket Pear. Never heard of him until today. But I'm assuming they're fans of Pokemon if they're doing this. And it's got guns. We saw that. That was very obvious. It was very prominent throughout the whole thing. And there's poaching. You know what poaching is? It's just illegally hunting an animal, basically. And I think selling it or something. I don't know. But then there's also slavery. We all know what slavery is. Absolutely horrible. So we don't really need to talk about anything else. So you might be thinking, wait, what? I guess I can kind of answer those questions. I'm also thinking, wait, what still right now? But we're gonna try and understand what we just saw. So let's just analyze. So first of all, we start off with this flying over the landscape. Now it looks very beautiful. Like, look at the wings, look at the world, look at everything, and you can see my mouse actually. So hello. But then onto the next slide, we can see the player clearly using a gun to shoot this enemy, I suppose, who is also using a gun. But we only tend to see one type, and that is just the regular assault rifle, you know. I don't know what they're called. I'm not American. And then we also see the player riding a cart pulled along by wolves in a forest, in an icy forest. So we're seeing some different biomes here. And back again at the lake or something, we see the player riding a Manectric fused with a Striker, and obviously on the side there's some Piplups and a Gyarados. Obviously I'm just making comparisons to actual Pokemon because we don't know what they're called. They just look, you can see Gyarados. I don't know what those things. They look like blue Dragonites over there. But if we go on to the next slide, we'll see the survival mechanics actually. We see the player building a house, I guess, and using its Pokemon, whatever they're going to be called, and they are building the house. They're pulling up the planks and they're just taking it to the top. God knows what they're doing. We don't actually get to see anything. We just see the player use a hammer with no nails, and penguins just pulling up some wooden planks. And then we also see the house is finished. We don't get to see how it's finished. I don't know how it's finished. Don't ask me. But we can see everyone's proud of it. And then here we see some Shaymins, electric type Shaymins using electricity powers to power up this weird I guess, generator thing, and also the Manectric Striker right there also doing the same thing. And then we also see in the next slide that the house is lit up, and you can see how I didn't place this correctly in the slide also. And you can also see the weird little Dragonite water type and some elephant in the background watering all these plants, and you two just, I guess, being useless as usual, just using a watering can because that's all you're good for. And we can see some familiar fruit and vegetables like tomatoes, cabbages, and carrots. So those don't seem to be different. But here we see some Wooloos. Obviously, sheep. Sheep, they just seem like normal types. And the player is shearing them, you know, getting the wool. There's not much to say, but they seem pretty happy. Take some notes, because here we see some cows being used to mow down some wheat. And here we see the other cows. There was a cow before, but now there's more cows. Just look at their eyes, okay? Do you see any happiness in their eyes? So here we see the multiplayer. This game's a multiplayer apparently, and there's another player there, or it might just be a NPC who's also using guns, but I'm assuming it's multiplayer. So we see some new Pokemon, which looks like a kind of Electabuzz, but mixed with a Zangoose, kind of. Its front looks a lot more like Electabuzz than it does here. You can see it's attacking these bad guys that we saw earlier, who are also aiming their guns at the players. And obviously in the next slide, you can see the Electabuzz thing, shot them up into the air. They're dead now. And now here we see a campfire. It's very nice, very warm. The player... Okay, so there is another person. So maybe it's a cutscene. So maybe that player that we saw in this slide is an actual character, because you can see it's the same person. Yeah, it is. It's the same clothes. So I'm assuming it's a character, not multiplayer. But apparently it is multiplayer. That sounds pretty cool. And obviously that fox, I don't know, what's it called? A Nickit? That's what it's called in Sword and Shield. And the next slide shows, so I think, oh, it's a fire type. Look at its feet. I guess it's powered up the campfire. The player is stroking it, and it seems pretty happy. And in the next slide, we also see the player stroking its dog. I don't know, Mightyena. Doesn't seem to be doing anything else other than just being stroked. That is pretty cool, the fact that this is a mechanic in the game. It seems like an overworld mechanic rather than a whole screen you have to go to, like Pokemon Care. Next we see a Gyarados and a Flareon kind of looking thing, and they're put next to each other. Why are they put next to each other? Because they're going to fuse, and they're going to make an egg. But in the video they were placed together, but when they were placed together they made an egg. But it makes sense what the outcome of the egg is. It is a fusion. I don't know what the limits of these capabilities are going to be, so that seems pretty interesting. We don't see that in actual Pokemon. Next we have the player aiming at the enemies in some weird looking desert. It looks like a wasteland actually, and it's got its Pokemon on top. There's not really much to go on for other than the fact that you're using a gun again. The Pokemon's on the head, you know, that's pretty sick. And here we have another setting in like some city, and obviously the player has used a shotgun. Actually, this is different. So there are different guns. I forgot. Using a shotgun to shoot the enemies, and obviously there's still one enemy still charging. You get a better look. They're wearing a helmet, some kind of looking headset thing, and some weird looking eyes and a mask. So they look pretty weird. I feel like this is like the evil team, like Team Rocket or something, but we don't really get to know anything about that. So let's just move on. Here we see back at that wasteland setting kind of thingy, and the player, as you can see, this is where it gets a little bit So in this image the player is holding a shotgun in the right hand and a Wooloo in the left hand. Why? Well, obviously if you can see on the other side of the Wooloo, you can see some people shooting at the player. The player obviously has nothing to defend themselves with, so what are they going to use? A Wooloo as a shield. And look at that Wooloo's face, man. Just look at it. It's crying. It's getting shot at. Of course it's crying. What the hell? And the best part about this, when she's done with it, she throws it away. And the next, so she throws her bird, and the bird just attacks this guy and throws him up in the air. Next we see the player holding a rocket launcher. There's other guns. I don't know why I said there was only assault rifles. There's other guns. I'm so dumb. I literally watched this like multiple times already. There's an RPG. And there she goes, aiming it at the building. What's she gonna do? What did you expect? And you can also see the enemies flying up in the air. So this is probably a very pivotal story moment because, I mean, if there is a story, they're not just gonna let you blow up a building just like that. Not that easily, I hope. And here, I mean, just look at it. You can already see the problems. We're in a cage, and underneath, it's their friends. They're like, come home, no, don't leave, something like that. Oh, Bloody hell. You can already see that this game took a turn for the worse, didn't it? Some weird looking Leafeon squirrels. God knows what they're doing, but I mean, they just look like they're just going like this to some assault rifles. You know what this reminds me of? China. There's not really much else to say, this is just China. So here you can see more slavery. I mean, you can see they're all in pain. You can see the sweat coming out of their, I don't know, their heads. These weird looking monkey people. The poor monkeys. Monkeys are amazing. You can't treat monkeys like this. They're the best. What are they even turning? Probably nothing. Here's where it's definitely not Pokemon. I mean, we already established that it wasn't Pokemon, right? Yeah, this is different. This is totally different from Pokemon. The Pokemon that we're used to, at least. I mean, you can already see where it's wrong. I think that's the right word. Here we have. That's the Electabuzz I was talking about. I guess it doesn't really look like an Electabuzz as much as I thought it did. It's more like a, I don't know what it is, but obviously you can see she's using it as a human shield. Well, not human shield, a Pokemon shield. And it's absorbing the bullets. It doesn't seem to be as upset as Wooloo was. But in the next one, you can see Bowser. Not much to say. This is probably the legendary Pokemon. And you can see it's just made treasure or something. Ah, yes. And here you can see the player using their Shaymin to, use as bait in fishing. You can already see what's wrong with that. It's already a bit wrong, but we'll just wait till you get to the next slide. But before we do that, I want to talk about that pirate ship in the back. Is that operable? I want to use that. That seems pretty cool. Okay, enough of that. There we go. So there it is in the water. You can see some sparks coming out. Can you see where this is going? If not, well, you're going to love the next slide. I mean, it's speaking for me. It's got X's on their eyes, and they're saying that the Pokemon faint. X means dead. And here we have the final scene before it cuts to the end. A woman riding a Gyarados. And there's a statue in the background as well. That looks pretty cool. There's some things we just see glimpses of. We can't really tell what that statue is. But on this little island that the player seems to be on, there's this woman. And who is this woman? Well, if we take a closer look, we can clearly see that it is just Nessa, but white. And if you really don't know what I mean, just take a look at this next picture. There you go, Nessa, okay? As you can see, Nessa is black. And if we go back, you know, it's just the same thing, isn't it? You get what I mean. So what did we learn today? Well, to get started, it's very well made. You can see, like, people have worked on it, not just one person. And it seems like a passion project. You know, I don't think any corporate person would make something like that. It's also cartoony and realistic. Cartoony in the sense that the violence seems very cartoony, but if you take a look at the Pokemon world, it's very realistic on if Pokemon existed, this is how they would be treated. And obviously, like I said, it's Pokemon. And Peter hates this. But you know what? I love it. And there's not much else but slavery. And that basically wraps it up.
Wait, hang on. I just found something. Hi, so it's the morning. Actually, no, it's the afternoon because I don't wake up in the mornings anymore. But I just wanted to tell you that my editing software crashed while I was editing. And I looked into this game for like 5 more minutes, and I can confirm it's a real game. And these people have made a game before. It's still in early